Where's your wine?
My wine is here. And it's
Cheers
Italian as well. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
I'm going with 2017 Nebbiolo d'Alba from Marchese di Barolo.
Yes.
You will know this winery pretty soon. It's
Very
fantastic.
nice. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's not wasted on me, Fabio, because I'm not exactly a connoisseur, but I like Italian wine. I really like Italian
Me
wine.
too. Like I said, I don't know that much South African wine, but the few times I tried it, it was amazing. And actually, I tried when I was a bartender back in 2000 and something, 2005, 2006 in Turin. But also had my sister's ex-boyfriend, which is now a dear friend of mine, Richard. She's from Canada actually, but he worked and he lived in Pretoria for several years, and he spoke to me about this amazing wines over there. And he also told me about this Porsche 993, so that's why I love him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So how old are you, Fabio?
I'm 21. I'm 30.
Yeah, me both. The reason why I ask is like you've...
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like you've done a hell of a lot, and you don't look like somebody that's... When I looked at all the stuff that you've done, it seems like you should be a man in your mid-40s, but I don't think that's the case, right?
Well, I'm not in the mid-40s, but I'm pretty old. I'm from 1983, and you know that here, right?
I'm 83 as well, yeah. So that makes us the same age.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So, Fabio, let's start the conversation off by just talking a little bit about what you do currently.
Which is a really complex questions because, right now I'm mostly chief designer for Puritalia Automobili, which is a small Italian, very exclusive limited edition sports car manufacturer. At the same time, I'm still consulting for several companies, especially in the US. Because, like I mentioned to you, right now I'm in Italy, but I'm based in the US, where basically I open my little firm and I do design consulting for many different companies. Right now I'm working on the full electric version of the Puritalia Berlinetta. That's the long-term project. And I'm also working on with several startups. For example, I'm designing a smart fridge right now. I'm working on a metal detector device. I'm working on drones and stuff like that. Pretty interesting.
But this is all under your little boutique design consultancy, right?
Yes. And actually, I forgot one important thing, which is I started teaching at IED, YED, the way we call it here in Italy, at the beginning of 2020.
Yes, I saw that, and we can get onto this later, but I just don't know how you fit it all in because you've got so much stuff on the go, and you're also a father as well. You've got a little boy or a girl?
No, a little girl, which is probably my best design so far. Camilla, we call her
Very
Mila.
Nice.
She's 3. She just turned 3 a few days ago. And she's actually,
awesome.
She's like you know very well, she's taking a lot of my time as well. But that's actually free time, relaxing time with her. How I fit everything in? Good question. I use 2 time zones basically. I start working at 9:30 in the morning. 9. I start reading my emails around 8:30 when I wake up, and then I finished around 8:30 in the evening. So, and that's that. It's good being here because I can start early in the morning doing my stuff with the Italian clients, doing my teaching, and then at night I usually start around 2:30 3 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. With my American clients. And actually, me being here with my family is just a temporary thing, because we're gonna go back to the US soon. Actually, the reason why we're here
Okay,
now,
because you guys are normally based.
yeah, in New York,
You guys are normally based in the States. Okay.
in New York City, yeah, Brooklyn. We live in Brooklyn, and my office was in Manhattan first. Then I took another office, a beautiful office where I used to go because now I left it. I used to go to my office with my electric longboard. It was a 15 minutes ride till there. It was amazing through the Brooklyn Bridge Park.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Casey
And,
Neistat style.
yeah, I loved it. I met him twice, I guess, in the city. And by the way, we have the same board, the boosted board. But yeah, we had to temporarily move back here in Italy because we were launching the Berlinetta, the new Berlinetta, the new Puritalia, the full electric version at Geneva 2020. So we were at the end of the process. I had to stay close to the team here in Italy, so we came back here. I was supposed to stay here for a few months. Then the pandemic hit. They canceled Geneva. And instead of going back to our relatively small apartment in Brooklyn with a small backyard, we decided to stay here in Barolo, which is the country of wine. And we have a beautiful house, beautiful spaces. We can go outside. And as soon as this pandemic ends, and as soon as I get my vaccine, but actually in 2 days I'm gonna get my vaccine. We'll go back to the US probably.
Is the whole family gonna get it?
No, actually only myself because of the university. Since I'm a professor, there are certain categories that are allowed to get the vaccination here in Italy. So I'm gonna be the first human test for my family.
Okay, so listen, Fabio, in short, you are currently you're a car designer, you're a product designer, you also do a bit of advertising and branding and marketing, writing as well, and teaching. So that's you in a sense, in summed up. You grew up in Italy, whereabouts?
I was born in Turin, Torino. Then when I was 3, because my father was Sicilian, we moved to Sicily, where I spent basically all my young life. And then I moved back to Turin when I was 19 to start studying. I hoped to study car design, but it wasn't possible.
So tell me, how did you make the connection to car design? Was there like a car enthusiasm in your family?
Well, I don't have the picture right now here, but when I was 1.5, I used to fall asleep on the most famous car magazine here in Italy, which is called Quattro Ruote. And my father took this picture of me reading Quattro Ruote, and I could fall asleep only reading that. Then I remember my brother, because I'm the fourth of 4, 2 sisters and 2 brothers. My brother used to cut the side view of the cars from the same magazine. I started playing with paper cars, and I remember one day specifically, my father was talking over the phone, probably with some uncle or I don't know auntie, and he was sketching. He was sketching a car, and I said, "Look at this bastard! How cool is that sketch? I want to sketch like him." And I was like 2 or 3, and then I realized that there was something about sketching cars. And by the way, my father was a math professor, not a creative person. Actually, yes, he was a creative person, but not for a professional creative person. He was a math teacher, and but he was really a car guy. And I remember he used to tell me that the only new car that he ever bought was right like in 1982 was a 1982 Opel Ascona. I don't know if you remember the car. And it was a nightmare for him. It was a nightmare because it was burning oil. And for him, the best cars are the used car, because you can fix them, you can improve them, you can live them properly instead of just buying and drive something perfectly functioning. And actually, at the end of the day, it doesn't function that well, like the Ascona.
So for you, it was kind of the sketching and like drawing in cars was something that was hand in hand from day one.
Yeah. My very first recorded sketch of a car is from 1985, I guess. Means that I was 2.5, and it was a very banana shape, upside down banana shape with 2 wheels and a little guy inside this kind of UFO shape. And I still have, actually my mom has it. I'll send you a picture of that one day.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So I haven't asked any Italian this, but I wondered, like, is there a bias? Do you have to, being Italian, do you have to choose between Ferrari or Lamborghini, or is it okay to be in love with both cars?
Well, I love Italian style.
The thing is, in Sweden, for example, like, you either like Volvo or you like Saab. You can't. It's like sacrilege to like both. So you get like families that are all about Saab, and you get families that are all about Volvo. And I wondered if it was the same in Italy with regards to Lamborghini and Ferrari.
I never lived that way, the competition between the two brands. Probably, I don't know if there's a real competition. Probably there was. But actually, Ferruccio Lamborghini used to drive a Ferrari. So it wasn't a big competition, I guess. But for me, honestly, I like the design language of items, of objects. So I don't care about the brand. I'm in love with the Scandinavian style, for example. I love the purity of Italian style. I don't identify a good style because of the badge that it has on the hood, for example. I don't particularly like the current Lamborghinis, neither the current Ferraris, but there are some models that I love like a lot from the past. And probably the epiphany in car design happened to me when I got to know the 288 GTO and the F40, which is part of my life, and you'll know about it soon.
So you knew from a young age that you wanted to be a car designer?
Yeah. Either a soccer player or a car designer.
Is that a common theme in Italian kids your age?
Soccer player, yes. Car designer, not at all. Especially back in those years in Sicily, car designer is probably a mysterious person that actually doesn't exist in Sicily, especially.
But so, Fabio, sorry, there's a bit of latency on the line, so I apologize if we kind of get off sync. But I know that you had like an unorthodox entry into the business. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm kind of proud about it now, but it was pretty struggling, especially at the beginning. Like I mentioned, I'm the fourth of four kids. And I have two sisters. One is an architect. The other one is an engineer. I have a brother, which is an architect as well. So, and I come from a family which wasn't rich at all. It was just a normal family, mid-class from south of Italy. And when got the moment that I had to decide where to go to the university, of course I wanted to become a car designer, and I only knew there was this two schools in Turin, right, like 6 months before I enrolled. I was able to enroll any kind of school for university, and the only problem was the cost of the school. It was crazy expensive, and my father, almost crying, told me, "Listen, Fabio, you're gonna go to the university, but please don't ask me to go to IED or the other one is IAAD because it's too expensive. You have to go back to Turin. We have to pay the rent for the house. We have to pay you living outside, but not the school. It's not possible. Plus, if you enroll Politecnico di Torino, there was a way to pay less taxes based on the revenue that family makes. So for me, was the only choice was industrial design in Turin, and the only reason why I choose that school is because there was this class in automotive design. Only one class in 3 years or 4 years, I can't remember. So without internet, because during summer we were spending 3 months at our beach house, no internet back in 2002, I guess. So I had brochures about this school, all brochures actually. So I submitted my the fact that I want to enroll that school. So they called me for the test. I went to Turin. I got the test. I was approved. And then when I got the brochure that with all the classes, I noticed that automotive design wasn't there anymore. It was the same professor, which was a car designer, the great Carlo Gaino. But his class was called Tecniche della Rappresentazione, meaning just sketching class and product design class, no automotive. And then suddenly I understood that the school didn't want to talk about car design at all. Back in early 2000 in Turin, I don't know now because it's been like 10 years since I left. There were like two opposite like way of thinking. There is product design, which is close to architecture, and there is car design, which is something completely far from the Politecnico of Torino, and was pretty frustrating to me because I always say that designing a car is the most complex industrial design project that you can ever face, but not for them. So I was so pissed off inside of me. Then basically since day one, I would go to school. I would spend my 6-8 hours at school. Then I would go back home and started working on my own portfolio, let's say, my own project. Just trying to reading books, asking people. Internet wasn't that mainstream back in early 2000. There was internet, but no much informations. So I basically decided to do it with my hands without no help from the school. And it was nice because it was challenging. And the nice fact is that industrial design at the end of the day is a very interesting school that actually made me the designer that I am today. So I've been able to mix the two things together, and probably doing this kind of hybrid designing path. A learning path that I took.
So then in some respects, you are almost self-taught in a way with regards to automotive.
Absolutely, yes. Except for one very important moment of my 3 years at Politecnico di Torino. At a certain point, you have to pick an internship and a company for the internships. And there was a list of companies. There was only one company related to automotive design, and that was Idea Institute. Unfortunately, the people who were taking the submission for joining this internship were the professors of one single class, which is the same class that I mentioned before, Tecnica della Rappresentazione. And because you could submit your application during the exam. So if the exam went well, you can ask them to join the Idea Institute for an internship. There were 2 dates for the exams. I went to the second one, and unfortunately during the first one already 2 guys took the only 2 spots available. So for me, there was only one choice, and that choice was Ilti Luce. So I was supposed to design lamps. And in that moment, something turned on inside of me saying, no, I have to design cars. I have to find a way to design cars. And I remember this friend of mine, actually this colleague of mine, which is a classmate. He was one of the 2 guys that actually, I guess he was one of the 2 guys who took one of the 2 spots. Actually, one was Idea Institute, the other one was at CRF, which is a design center, research design center for Fiat. I've heard that in this place, in the Fiat Design Research Center, there was this guy called Pietro Camardella, which is the father of the Ferrari F40. And I said to me, okay, I'm going to call this guy. And I called him. And he was kind of surprised. And he told me, what do you want? I said, hey, you are my last chance to join the car design world. I think I have something to say. Please take a look at my portfolio. I come wherever you are and just take a look at it. And he was already laughing at me at the phone, but eventually he invited me for lunch. So I took the bus. I took the wrong bus. Instead of there was two bus. Instead of 2/, I only took the 2 that brought me to the cemetery. So I was in front of the cemetery. I said, okay, I took the wrong bus. So I need to get the other one. So eventually I made it to the design center. I met with Pietro Camardella, and he saw my portfolio, and it was like, okay, let me call the school. So he called the school and he said, hey, listen, last year we had 2 guys from your school. This year we have already Daniele, which is this friend of mine. I'm gonna have Fabio as well. Just give me the paper. I'll sign the documents, and he will start on Monday. And so that was the beginning of my design career.
But how many people would they normally take? Was it just a couple of people that they would normally take for an internship?
Only a couple of people, yes. But that was in 2001. In 2004. In 2003. In 2004, they decided to take only one. And Daniele was my friend Daniele Petruccio was already there. And only after my little story with Pietro Camardella, he was the one calling the university saying, hey, Fabio is coming to just give me the paper. That doesn't matter to you, right? It's only about credits for the students. And so I started there. And it was amazing. It was amazing because I had the chance. We started just sketching all day. And at a certain point, after like 3 weeks, there was this big opportunity where the team was asked to design a show car for the Barcelona Auto Show, which is an auto show dedicated to technology. And of course, Daniele and I started to help the team that was already there. And there was another company involved in the project, which was called Mazel. And during one meeting, Pietro actually wanted to bring in also our sketches. And the other company involved with Pietro Camardella chose my proposal for the interiors. So, and it was funny because there was another Fabio, I guess. Yes, there was a digital modeler called Fabio as well. So during the meeting, Pietro Camardella comes out and says, hey, Fabio, come here. And I didn't expect he calling me. I thought he was calling the other Fabio, so I didn't answer. Hey, Fabio, come. Nothing from me. Fabio, come here. Like with a pretty high tone of voice. I said, me? Yes, you. Come here. So I was there in the middle room with the company, with the design team, and Pietro said, hey, look, seems like they choosing your proposal. And I was like, you're joking, you're kidding me. And it was real. So that was during my internship, they actually built the interior of the prototype under my sketches. And I worked with Pietro in a very, very classic way, with a big table, in Italian it's called tecnigrafo. He gave me the technical views of the seats from the Lancia Thesis, and I had to redesign my proposal around them, fit the proportion and technical stuff. It was amazing.
I read about that, and I read that you interned with him, and I was really interested to know like what sort of stuff you learned from him. I mean, the guy's a legend, as you said. I mean, he did the F40, he did the Testarossa as well. Is that right?
No,
I believe
was the Testarossa. Yeah, the Testarossa 512TR, which is the restyling of the Testarossa, the original Testarossa. That was his first project in Pininfarina. And he also did the 456.
The F40 is the big thing.
Yeah.
The 456 GT.
Yeah.
And did you talk to him about that at all? About any of those projects?
Oh yes, hell yes. I remember the day he called us to show us, to me and Daniele, all the original sketches of the F40, and he told us about the whole process, because you should interview him because he's such a great guy. He told us that he was struggling about this project because they started saying that this was coming from Fioravanti, from Materazzi, and nobody mentioned him as the real designer. So only a few years ago he was able to like speak out about it and say, hey, I'm the real father of the F40. And yeah, I saw the original sketches. I saw amazing sketches about the other cars. And he told me the old style way to design a car, which is something which is what made me fell in love with car design, I guess. And then the evolution of being a modern car designer came along afterwards.
But to enlighten the younger generation, the old style, traditional Italian style of designing a car is very much starting with an orthographic view, side, front, top,
Yes.
rear. Right.
Um,
Okay.
one thing that always Pietro. I remember the two guys that were there, the senior designer that were there, Raffaele Vergano, that now he works at Iveco, I guess, and Paolo Tadini. They kept saying me, if you're able to design a very nice top view of a car, all the rest comes along. I never heard about it. I thought the side view was the most important one, but actually it seems that
Right. Yeah.
the top view helps a lot. The proportion and drives better the style on the side view, front and back. Of course, to me, it is true, but of course, to me, it's always a combination of the old views. But it seems that the base, the bones, probably I would say, comes from a top view, a nice top view. And he's a master doing those stuff. If you see his technical drawings, they look like coming out from a computer, and every single line is just perfect. In fact, I was talking to the digital modelers over there, and they were so like happy, having fun working with him, because all the sketches that he would give them, they were so clear and perfect. So their job was super easy for them.
That's quite an interesting subject, because I think many designers nowadays would say, like, they can't imagine working like that, where you're just doing a side view, top view, and working very technically, because they might find it too restrictive. The thing is, like, I wonder sometimes if by having this process at the start of a project where you find a sketch that you like, a key sketch, so to speak, and you try and capture a certain feeling or a character that you see on the page, that you end up not only wasting time, but just fooling yourself into something that's never going to be. And I wonder if there's something that we could learn from, like, the traditional way of doing things, where it was slightly more technical. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be restrictive, but if you are kind of taking a package and you're sketching over that package in side view and maybe top view as well, for example, you're going to get to if you're going to have a pretty clear idea about where you're going with the whole project. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, you actually mentioned something that I really care about, which is I usually tell to my clients, give me as much as possible constraints. I need constraints. I need to understand where all the technical parts that you need to incorporate in the design, or give me a package. Because even we can actually say that even the old school technique can be used in a modern way, because even if you're not using those old tables doing the top and side view of cars, I think now a designer, in order to be a very complete designer, needs to understand at least a little bit of 3D, to understand how every single line go around some certain angle or constraints package, because to me it's like when you go to another country without knowing a language, right? it's always better to know a little bit of the language of the country that you're visiting in order to enjoy better the country, speak to people there, and having a better relationship with the country itself. And it's the same thing in car design to me, and in design in general. I love to work with the engineering department, even if during my years at Fiat it was a nightmare. I love to speak with engineering department because they can give me information, I can understand what they're saying, and I can work around constraints in order to deliver what I have in my mind. It just avoid the fact that it could stay stuck in my mind because it's not doable, right? So to me, I don't believe that a designer, in order to be creative, has to think outside the box without completely no constraints, no packaging at the beginning, because if not, you're not going to be creative. To me, that's bullshit, personally. You can be creative. You can find solution. You can find new shapes, even around constraints. And actually, to me, that's the best way to design something, because to me, the real meaning of design is shipping something from the very first sketch to the shelves, to the auto show, to production.
To a final product. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing to remember at the end of the day, is that you are creating a mass produced, or okay, it could be done in a limited run, but you are creating a product with
exactly.
There will always be restraints. There will always be a budget, a package, a time limit, and all of these things are. You need to problem solve around those things. It's not just absolutely airy fairy, pie in the sky stuff. So, So after your internship over there, did you have to go back to university to finish your degree?
Exactly.
I had to. Smile. Why?
I'm smiling because, first of all, because of the fact that they choose my proposal. They actually Piero. He wants. For him, the friends has to call him Piero, but his actual name is Pietro. Piero told me, "Hey, if you want, you could stay here longer to develop your own proposal." And actually, I couldn't because I had exams back at the university, and I said, "You know what? I don't care. I'm staying." So I spent total more than 6 months there in order to see the thing in real life. Then I went back to school, and from that moment I decided my thesis is gonna be about car. I don't give a fuck. Even if they don't want me talking about cars, I will do it. I don't care. And that was under a university standpoint, it was a terrible choice because everybody was against me. I had a hard time, but for me, it was an amazing choice because that brought me to know amazing people. I started working around my thesis. My thesis was about redesigning the Fiat Multipla. Think about that. So I met Roberto Giolito, which is the designer of the...
It's a great car, by the way. Yeah.
I love it. I don't know. To me, it's a great design. That's why it's at MoMA. And if you don't like it, it's okay. If you like it, okay. I don't care. I mean, to me, it's a great design. And especially when you talk with the designer who designed it, and he explains to you the amount of work that was behind that project. It's an amazing project. So I met the guy, Roberto Giolito, which is the same designer of the Fiat 500. And he's the only way who has the complete thesis in his office. Then I started working with Bruno Giardino. That most of you, I'm sure you guys don't know this name, Bruno Giardino, but he's the father of a pretty fucking cool car, which is the Lancia Delta S4. Is the designer of the S4. So he started helping me with the thesis process. Then I started working with Filippo Pavesi, another amazing designer. But this connection.
Sorry, slow down. Where did you meet these people? Where did you meet Bruno?
Bruno was my professor, industrial design professor at the university.
Okay.
And I asked him, would you help me with this crazy thesis project that they're going to kill me for doing this? And he said, yes. And that's why I love him. Then he retired and comes in Filippo Pavesi, another amazing designer who brought me to Pininfarina as well. He made me meeting Roberto Giolito, that at the time was the design director for FCA Fiat. But I started having the school against me. They just started giving me a hard time. And I said, you know what? I drop. So I quit. I didn't finish industrial design, even because I got my first job proposal at Idea Institute. So they called me from there because they saw a project of mine online. So I started working basically, and I started my car design career.
That sort of thing. I was speaking to Leonello about this, and that sort of thing it would be a lot more difficult to happen nowadays, right? I mean, that sort of thing, it happened from time to time. There's been a couple of well-known designers that didn't finish university at all. But I think now it would be almost impossible to do.
Yeah, back in the years, Giorgetto Giugiaro never finished school. Marcello Gandini, he just started working when he was 14 or 15, but it was a lot of years ago. I think right now we are at the edge. I mean, to me, till yesterday it was impossible, but now with this new technology coming in, with these new startups, I think the picture is changing a bit. And with these new opportunities that are coming along, I think something is going to change soon. Even because to me, even if I'm a teacher right now, I shouldn't say that, but there are too many people coming out car design school, and the level is not that high anymore. It's going down and down. And probably because it was my journey, I think it's still possible to make your own path somehow. I don't know if there's a rule. I've been probably really lucky. I'm stubborn. I have to say that. So if you're not stubborn, probably you're not gonna make it. But I think there's still a chance to make your own path somehow.
I think you're right as well. I mean, look, getting a job in a traditional OEM is a completely different story, and I think certainly in Germany it's like, you know, they you know, there's a whole fucking committee of people that police that kind of shit. So I think yeah, I mean, as far as traditional OEMs go, there's a lot of work to be done. But I think you're right. I mean, at the bottom line is, at the end of the day, if you've got the skills, if somebody sees something that they like of yours, they don't fucking care about what paper it is that you've got. They're like, this guy or girl is super talented, and they could bring something really amazing to our team, and we want to hire them. And, you know, maybe, and if it's a startup, they are not their ideas and the way that they work has not been polluted by the traditional sense of you have to go to this school and you have to have these qualifications in order to be a proper designer. So I think you're totally right. There's it's just navigating that, which is it's not for everybody, but I think you're right. With the right mindset, with enough determination and enough stubbornness as well, there are certainly opportunities.
And let me tell you something. You said a very important thing. In the most common OEMs, probably there's still the need of people coming out for school, internship, and then they hire these people. But that's the key point. Right now, we have new companies coming out of the blue because of this technology, new technology, which is the electrification that we have, which this technology is amazing, not because of the technology itself, because basically it makes almost everybody starting at the same point. It's just an electric engine. You get the technology and you're almost done. You don't need to have 70 years of history in order to make an amazing engine, combustion engine, and then a lot of the complexity that you have on the internal combustion car. Right now, it's possible that a startup comes out of the blue, picking the right technology, which is already ready to use, and it's a total revolution, I would say. And it happened to me with Puritalia Automobili. It could happen to anybody else. And let me say something. I think stubbornness it's also another key, because I made my career thanks to my personal projects, thanks to my online posting. Way before Facebook and Instagram, I used to have a blogspot. You remember Blogspot? There was this template that you fill in with images, and thanks to that, I got my first call. I remember the first call was from Luciano Bove, for example. He saw my blogspot and he wrote me a comment.
Luciano, yeah.
Yeah, he wrote me a comment, and I was like, "Who's Luciano Bove? Let me Google it." So he was like design manager at Renault. So I started stalking him, like, "Hey, who the hell? Where did you see my project? Blah blah blah." So, and we became friends. Then remember I mentioned you that I used to fall asleep on the most famous car magazine in Italy. Well, the same car magazine, through Carlo Di Giusto, editor-in-chief at the time, noticed a project of mine that I posted by myself and said, "Hey, what is that?" And we started talking, and I became a design columnist for the same magazine. And year after, Facebook was in at the time. There was this enthusiast group for the Saab community. Saab was already going bankruptcy, and there was this group of enthusiasts trying to save the brand by designing a premium compact car. And one of the founders contacted me and said, "Hey, I saw your stuff online. Why you don't jump in and give us a proposal for the new Saab 91, so-called?" And I did it. It was all over the web, that project. And that was the real project that got me into the car design industry, because Idea Institute saw that project and called me. And they were like, "Hey, we want to know you." And I started there without any clue of how to be a modern car designer, because I started at Idea Institute without using Photoshop, for example. I remember my colleague at the time, Francesco Blancato. I was asking him a lot of questions. I couldn't use the path. I didn't know the existence of path. Or, for example, Francesco Tamburrino, another colleague of mine, I was asking him tons of questions. about technical stuff, about Photoshop, 3D modeling, and but I wasn't there already. I had the chance to speak with these people, these amazing people, thanks to a project that I posted online by myself without anybody asking me nothing, without anybody teaching me nothing. Only because I'm a fucking stubborn and I love what I do. And think about now with thousands of more channels that we have to spread our own voice. Instagram, for example, Facebook as well, Behance, and just name it.
I mean, yeah, there's so many more. I think, I was talking to Anders Warming about this, and I said that, the landscape is so complicated now, and the competition is it's harder than ever to make it. And he said, well, yes, there are a lot more graduates, and there are way more graduates than there are jobs. But at the same time, there's so many things, so many positions that are available now that were not available 10 years ago. Like, if you look at visualization, for example, that's growing at an insane rate. I mean, you've got, for the first time ever, design departments are hiring fucking coders to write scripts, for example,
Exactly.
And then, of course, if you talk about all the startups as well, there are companies that exist in places that, you would not be able to, it wouldn't have been a viable option to live in certain places before, right. Before some of these startups. I mean, there are companies sprouting up everywhere, in Estonia, in Berlin, in Cape Town, all over the world, but in non-traditional places where you would historically get a job as a traditional designer. So the thing is, there's a lot. It's more complex, but in that complexity, there is a lot of opportunity, and I think it's important to try to kind of evaluate the whole landscape or take stock of things and decide what you want, and then go after that thing.
You're right on point. You're right on point. For me, the most important thing is to decide what you want to do and to figure out if your dream job is a real dream job for you. Because, for example, I don't know if I love to be a car designer. I mean, I love to be a car designer the way I am now. But I don't know if I want to be a car design director in an OEM industry. Because at that level, probably creativity doesn't matter anymore. You become just a manager, and there is people who loves that. But you have to ask yourself, what's my dream job? Yeah, my dream job is to become the design director of Ferrari, for example. But do you really know what that means? So to me, and this is probably the best advice that I can give to young designers out there, you have to figure out that your career path is probably the most important journey of your life. And one of the most important journey of your life. And you have to look at it as it is like a roadmap, like a old style roadmap, like a paper roadmap, not a modern roadmap, not a Google map, because you have to point out where you want to go and figure out about the city that you want to go, meaning the design role that you wanna achieve, and try to understand first if you really like it. Then you decide what road take to get there, and see if you like the road, first of all. Because in my case, I became a chief designer for Puritalia Automobili, but I became a chief designer in a very small company. I'm super creative all day long, and I choose the most panoramic way to get there. I wasn't forced because I enrolled a school that forced me to take a specific path to get there. I was lucky enough or unfortunate enough to living without constraints, basically, school constraints, professional constraints, and to design my own path and to get to the place where I want to be, being creative and without surprises, I would say. Because nowadays, to me, the problem is that everybody is using Google Maps or Apple Maps to get somewhere, meaning I want to become a car design director, and I just open Instagram and I see all the amazing stuff that I see there, then that's the most amazing job that you can get. No, it's not like that. I mean, it's a completely different story. It's a completely different story. When I was, I didn't mention. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You carry on.
No, I didn't mention that I have experience in the large OEMs. I worked. Idea Institute was part of that. I worked for Fiat. I designed cars for large brands in China, production cars, concept cars. I know what I'm talking about. And I know that in 2012, I was like, enough, I'm leaving. And I quit. And with nothing, I moved from Italy to New York because I wasn't happy at all about the world that I was living in.